So what are we sitting on here? 10, 20 million?
North of $50 million.
So what's the most expensive motor car on site right now?
One of one in Canada of the Spectre, brand new. If I look at a Cullinan, silver badge, black badge, rose gold.
I have my distinguished guest right here, Todd Hogan, face of Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Québec.
I started in and around the automotive industry as early as the late 80s. And I remember my dad calling me saying, it's time to get your hair cut and get a real job. I rolled up my resume and put it in a dress shoe, left it on the owner's desk of a dealership. The rest is history, as I say.
And can somebody just walk in to the dealership and purchase a Rolls-Royce if they wanted to, or?
I'll never underestimate or discredit anybody. I had a young boy come in, and I remember somebody doing that for me. So if you give it to somebody else, it's great.
What's your most proudest deal that you closed?
It was an SLR Vision 1. There was a waiting period of about 3 years for this car. My client wanted one. He gave me €50,000 every month for the first 12 months to qualify. 3 years later, I delivered one of the first SLR Vision 1s in Canada.
So gas prices are up, rates are up, groceries expensive. Who the heck is buying a Rolls-Royce in this economy? All right, guys, we have a treat today. We're at Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Québec, about to shoot another podcast on site. So come with me inside. Let's take a look. My friend Todd.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, buddy.
Welcome to Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Québec.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Long time no see.
It's been a while.
Yes,
It's been
sir,
a while.
yes, sir.
Last time you were here, we had a great opportunity to discuss all the new and exciting things happening with the dealership.
Yes, sir.
The new renovations and whatnot. We've got the two Cullinans, we've got the Ghost.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the new barista area, and of course our pride and joy, which is the atelier. Great opportunity to show people all the hues and hides, and of course the multicolors that we've got available. Over here, I always like showing my guests these things because you've got the Starlight, which is on all of our Rolls-Royce product, but even better so, the fiber optics behind it are even better.
Wow.
Pretty amazing, eh?
Insane.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this the Wolf of Wall Street?
This is, no, it would be one step higher.
Okay.
This is the Diablo SV. It just landed actually from Japan.
Okay.
We've got the 24 Urus Performante. We've got a beautiful ST 911.
Okay.
We've got the McLarens. We've got another GT3 RS.
Yeah.
I've got a beautiful O2 360 Spider.
And
Yeah.
what are these BBs?
This one here on the left is my favorite. That's a 1963 Phantom 5.
Yeah.
Both of these motor cars are privately owned. We're just storing them for them at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And then I'll take you downstairs as well.
Yeah.
Where
Well,
they-
this is the beauty right here.
Yeah. So down here is our a list of either vehicles that are on consignment or vehicles that we're getting prepared for retail.
Okay.
Right, like we've got Bentley Spur that just came in on trade with less than 80,000 kilometers for under $70,000. 1992 911 RS Euro Spec. I've got that on sale for $325, so it's pretty special.
Okay.
67 Camaro. The one that I wanted to show you was this 2016 911 GT3 RS.
Yeah.
Lizard green, beautifully spec'd, and it's got under 1,600 kilometers. We've got some Vanquishes, 1984 928.
Wow.
We call that the, well, there's a few names for it, but the risky business vehicle. Some of our private collections that are not for sale, very special cars here as well. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of what we carry here from top to bottom. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm speechless.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
I
Todd,
appreciate you coming in.
thank you for the tour.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks
Looking
for
forward
coming
to
in.
the conversation.
As I am.
Let's get into the podcast. Stay
Absolutely. I look forward to it. I'll
Yes,
see you then.
All right, welcome back to the Closing Time episode 11. I'm your host, Jonathan Maheswaran, mortgage broker. And you might notice that we're somewhere else today. Back with another banger. We're on site at Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Québec. I have my distinguished guest right here, Todd Hogan, face of Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Québec. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor to be here. I appreciate you asking me to come.
Yes, sir. The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having us here. So gas prices are up, rates are up, groceries expensive. Who the heck is buying a Rolls Royce in this economy?
Well, you know what? I've seen it 1991, 2003, and even today's economy. Our financial lending institutions have really made it possible or even feasible for the end user to come in and buy a Rolls-Royce motor car. The interest rate aren't as high as people think. Residuals are aggressive. We have third-party leasing in-house here at Holland Automotive Group, and it makes it more advantageous as an alternative route of financing.
Definitely. All right. Well, we'll dive in a little bit more into Rolls Royce specifically a bit later on.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, it's funny. Whenever I think about buying a Rolls Royce, time to time, for some reason, I picture somebody who looks exactly like yourself, like
Okay.
a gentleman with a beard,
Yeah.
classy. So it looks like you were made to sell Rolls Royce. But I know it wasn't an easy path. So tell me, how did you become the face of Rolls Royce Motor Cars Quebec?
I had aspirations to actually represent the finest motor car in the world. I started in and around the automotive industry, I'm going to say as early as the late 80s. My father was in the industry with a family store and, a lot of, again, leasing company, the forte of that. I finished school in 91. I went out west for a little bit, and I remember my dad calling me saying, it's time to get your hair cut and get a real job. So I rolled up my resume and put it in a dress shoe, left it on the owner's desk of a dealership. He called me the next day and he basically said, "What's this about?" And I said, "Well, I figure it's the best way I can get my foot in the door." And he hired me not a week later. So it's, the rest is history, as they say.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you've mentioned that you've been in the automotive industry since the early 80s?
Not early 80s. I'm a little younger than that, but I would say finally when I put my foot on the ground, it was 91.
Okay.
Yeah, fall of 91 was when, but I'd been around, in and around helping my dad at his store as a young kid, cleaning cars, helping mechanics move tools and summer jobs, things like that.
And I'm sure everybody's watching might be wondering, how do you even become part of a Rolls Royce?
Well, I mean, through the years, trying to build experience, my dad always says, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and it takes one or two bad mistakes to tear it all down. I've got my stories of trials and tribulations, that's for sure. But I think when everybody was climbing the mountain, I was sitting on a little hill looking up saying, one day I want to be, part of Rolls-Royce Motor Cars.
And take me through a little bit about your career path to get here.
Well, as I was saying, I'm originally from Burlington, Ontario. Growing up in and around that area, the car business was really booming. We had a couple of large family organizations, both in Burlington and Oakville. But I had my eyes set on a certain brand, and I think I have to pay tribute to Mercedes-Benz. It was a big part of me, getting to where I was today, both at franchise and corporate level. When I was at franchise, there was a lot of exciting things happening in the late 90s. We had the new generation S-Class. We had the first ever M-Class, CLK 320, 430, 55 coupe and cabriolets, the new SLK. But at that time, I found that there was a lot of changes happening with subsidized interest rates, a lot of aggressive leasings that was happening. Because at that time, a lot of the stores, both franchise and corporate, were practicing valued pricing, where it was like everybody pays the same. And it was right down to geographical convenience for the consumer to say, where is it best for us to, purchase our vehicle? And I think Mercedes-Benz corporate had very strict rules as to, where they wanted their vision to go.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And having worked at Mercedes and a handful of other dealerships, I'm sure you've had different experiences dealing with different types of clients. Do you find it's easier selling a $40,000 car compared to a $400,000 car, or?
I think at this point, I'm not really selling cars. I'm selling a lifestyle. We recently went to Halifax. And, we hosted a beautiful party event at the Muir Hotel and at the Watchtower. And during the Grand Prix sailing event, I noticed a big change between selling, say, an entry-level C-Class to, a Maybach XLR. Like, I think for me, the husband and wife or the couple that's worked all their lives to aspire to get an entry-level Mercedes, that is their Maybach. And I've sold, a good variety of luxury, super luxury, and hyper cars. When I get to the Rolls-Royce, it's a different animal. When you're bespoking a vehicle like this, I'm still learning. I've been in the game for over 35 years, and it's not so much, that's a poor choice of words, closing a deal. It's more along the lines of building a relationship. A lot of my colleagues in the industry have always known that my slogan is it's a people business. I've said before, if you're selling a pen, a plant, or whatever you're selling, whenever it comes right down to it, it is a people business.
Definitely. And speaking of people, who are the people that are buying Rolls Royces or luxury cars in this?
Well, I mean, it varies. I mean, growing up in and around the industry, I've learned that people work hard for it. They inherit it. They marry into it. There's a number of choices, but the actual person that's looking for individualization, somebody that wants to have a specific vehicle with veneers and hides and colors to match their personality.
And see, as we can see in this room, there's like endless options of
Yes.
customization.
Yes.
What's the wildest custom request or most expensive build so far?
I'm probably going to go back to the early 2000s, let's say 25 years ago. I had a client, they owned a golf course in Northern Ontario. They wanted his and her S-classes, but they wanted to see all the vehicles that were available physically at their summer home, and they wanted to choose a specific color that would go best with the brick of their home. Okay. So at their expense, of course, I had quite a few vehicles brought up to their home, and at the end of the day, I think the two colors they chose was one was Horizon Blue on Ash, and the other one was Almondine on Java. So it was the best his and hers combination I could probably suggest to you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And when buying a Rolls Royce, is it kind of like Rolex where there's a wait list or there's a process to acquire one, or is being able to afford it the wait list itself?
We carry a certain inventory that whether it's a Sims order, we build it the way we want to, that we know that the vehicle's going to sell. Whether it's emerald green or black or Arctic white or whatever it might be. I think some of the hides, veneers, the color choices, the coach line, the shoulder, the boots and bonnets have to be really specified to what we, right now at the moment we have vehicles that are white on turquoise, or we have, black on mandarin. So you can have one extreme or be, extremely conservative with emerald green on specific second row lounge, or whether it's a sanctuary rear seat.
And can somebody just walk into the dealership and purchase a Rolls Royce if they wanted to, or
Absolutely,
how's the process?
absolutely. I don't want people to feel, because of the level of motor car that it is, that they should feel intimidated to walk into a store. I have lots of different scenarios where people have come in and they feel that they have to dress the part. I know a lot of clients that can afford entry level to sky's the limit, and they don't have to pretend to be somebody they're not. Again, people business, right? So I mean, sometimes you wouldn't recognize me on the weekend. I'm a ball cap and flip flops kind of guy. But when I'm at the office, I try to dress for success and make sure I'm representing not only the brand but myself as a reflection of my family.
Do you find that you could tell this within the first 5 minutes if somebody's actually going to buy it based on?
I never judge. Honestly, I never judge. I think not so much qualifying questions, but when you're asking somebody what are they currently driving, or what are their aspirations or wants and needs in their next vehicle, I think I've got a good understanding. Whether it's eye contact or body language is one thing, but it's actually getting to know the person. I think a vehicle for me at this point is a conduit to that relationship. Sometimes, in most cases, people are referred to me. I've got over 7,000 clients for the last 30 plus years from here to Niagara on the Lake that will call me, and whether it's second or third generation of the original client that are saying, my son needs this, or my granddaughter's going to university, and it because within Holland Automotive Group, we have a large facet of different avenues, whether it's pre-owned, we've got Holland Leasing, we've got all these avenues, and you know, being the face of Rolls-Royce here in Quebec, it's a wonderful opportunity. But I have such a huge range of availabilities, and again, the alternative route of financing with, you know, leasing, unlimited kilometers, and so forth it's a great way to go.
So so you could lease a Rolls Royce. That's what I'm
Oh,
understanding.
I think the large, I mean, you know, at Mercedes-Benz, or even Jag Land Rover, you know, they look at lease penetration and lease retention. Like how many vehicles, if we're selling, just for example, if we're selling 100 cars this year, how many of those are leases and how many of them are actual purchases? And within those leases, are they previous, right? We used to do service drives where you know, we made sure that every client coming in that had previous service appointments, that somebody was there to appraise their vehicles, right? See what their payouts are, see what the availability is to get them into something new. And it was a great way to feed the parts department, the service department, the sales department. And you know, it's just one big happy family within the four walls to make sure that the consumer, if we can match their payment and get them into something new. And you know, during the pandemic, I don't think that was that challenging. You know, over the last, I'm going to say 25 years, the pandemic was a game changer, not only for pivot tables, for inventory management, for a lot of different things. But you look at what a vehicle is worth versus what the client owes, there was, in most cases, a negative deficiency. Now, if I fast forward to 2020, 2021, 2022, there was, you know, a big flux in supply demand, which drove up the prices wholesale for clients to get out of their vehicles, or in fact then have equity as cash back or as a downstroke towards a cap cost reduction to present them with a new number, right? Some clients these days still think that exists, but the market has come back to its you know, its norm, if you will. But it's really it's assisted dealerships on how we can order vehicles and what's best not only for the store but also for the consumer. Now, you asked about, you know, how does one get into the automotive industry? When I came from, again, being new to Quebec, when I came in the early 90s, there was the Ontario Motor Vehicle Industry Council. So OMVIC, you had to be licensed, right? And it was a governed body that protected the consumer and the dealer. You know, I always had, for myself personally, a very clean record. But it was good because what they call, you know, the curbsiders, or the people that are selling vehicles, excuse me, that had not been certified, or there wasn't a full disclosure and whatnot. I never surrounded myself with a dealership that was like that. We were always, you know, high above with, you know, morals, ethics, principles, values, and making sure that the vehicles were reconditioned both cosmetically and mechanically. So you were sure to say 2 keys, clean facts, 1 owner. There's the keys. Go tell your friends. Thank you for the business.
Nice. And would you say, so let's say somebody's starting off in the automotive industry, do you think you need to have a certain amount of experience, a number of years, to be able to sell to the ultra net worth clientele?
I think in the ultra luxury, I think there should be a certain level of experience, a certain level of maturity. I remember going to the car shows with my father years and years ago, where it would be, we'd go to the Toronto Auto Show, and then the month before we'd be at Cobo Hall, Detroit, going to the U.S. Auto Show. And I used to, you know, look at these gentlemen with their polished shoes and their 3-piece suits, and I was going, wow, look at that car and look at that car. And I wanted to do that. I just had a lot of respect for, you know, what went on behind the scenes at a luxury automotive dealership.
Definitely. And with an average cost of a Rolls Royce being similar to a house, or sometimes even more,
Right.
would you consider it an investment in this day and age, or?
I think any motor car is going to depreciate. I mean, unless it's a classic or something that there haven't been too many cars in the lineup, not only just Rolls-Royce, but some of the other vehicles or OEMs that we represent. You know, there are some that still hold their value. You know, within our lineup, we have, you know, we have the Ghost, we have the Spectre, we have the Cullinan, we have the Phantom. and they've held their value quite nicely. But again, going back to bespoke or going back to, individualization of, a certain vehicle, be it color, the hides, the veneers, the stitching, and so forth. We try to guide our clients and the guests that walk in to what will be best for them, not only at the beginning of the lease, but also at the end.
All right, so Todd, we spent some time together at Cars and Coffee, walking around the showroom, and I noticed that, like you said, you're really in the people business. You don't necessarily judge a potential buyer.
Right.
If anybody looks at a car, I see right away, you go, "Oh, it's for sale, by the way." So where do you get that from? Is that just like it's very natural. It's not a technique. I know it's not a technique. Your sales tactic. It's just really just I see the passion in you and in the passion in somebody who admires a motor car. So where do you get that from?
I would probably say from my father. I have a passion for people. I have a passion for the art of conversation. I'm just interested in what drives other people.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does that actually work? Stopping somebody who say, "Hey, it's for sale." How
I
often does it actually end up being a
I
finalized
mean,
transaction?
is there an agenda or motive? I mean, at the end of the day, my job is to sell vehicles, but for me also is to, water the soil and watch that tree grow. I've had so many different referrals over the years based on their experiences in the past, or somebody saying, while they're breaking bread over dinner with friends and family, go see Todd Hogan. He's the guy you should go see. He'll look after you from A to Z.
So you've been with Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Quebec since November, was it?
Yeah.
November?
Yeah.
And what differentiates Rolls-Royce Motor Cars Quebec from the rest of Canada? Is it you?
It could be. I mean, I've been wanting to get into a position like this with the auto group for quite some time. It was a bit of a waiting game because of the availability of space, and perhaps them getting to know me a little bit as a person outside the store, right?
Some of the perks, I mean, it's nice that you get to drive one around every day. Is that the solution to for the
I think making a vehicle like this visible to to the community of from here to Sherbrooke, Trois-Rivières, all the way to to Hudson, Quebec. I think there's a lot of people out there that have seen it, but there's more people that haven't, and making it more visible, whether it's the Cars and Coffee that you and I attended, whether it's going to car shows or things like that, or special events. We have a lot of really fun things upcoming in the future from here to Mont Tremblant, and some of our guests perhaps at their homes with private chefs, and so there's some exciting things ahead.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
And having dealt with, like you said, a client client base of over 7,000 clients over the years.
Yeah.
So having dealt with basically all types of clientele, what have you noticed when you dealt specifically with high net worth or ultra high net worth clients? Is there any specific type of habits or mindset or anything that you've noticed in common?
I think even recently I was at a wonderful evening for a private collection not far from here, and there's a lot of people that are very proud of what they've driven. That specific collection that I saw recently, he has a collection where it goes back as far as his very first car, to his second car, to a vehicle that was given to him at his wedding as a gift from his father. And I respect things like that because it's not more of a look what I have and I want a standing ovation or a gold star. It's a personal, it's a sentimental thing. And when you're in that position to do that, it's not just respecting the client that has that, but it's respecting the meaning behind it, right? The passion, the enthusiasm behind telling a story of that car and whose hands it's been on.
Definitely.
Right.
I mean, at this point, when you're buying a luxury motor car like a Rolls-Royce, you're not buying it necessarily flex. It's more just you have some kind of passion in some sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's look at Bentley. I mean, the Brooklyn brothers, they, I think the last vehicle that they came out with that I really liked was the Brooklyns, and that was that whole vehicle identified the history of Bentley. the direction that they're going now is very different than what Rolls-Royce's ideas is. You know, with our founding fathers, I was surprised, you know, not long ago when you start seeing a Rolls-Royce Cullinan or a Bentley Bentayga or a Ferrari, you know, with their SUVs and so forth. I never in my wildest dreams, if you think back to the early 90s, that one day, Todd, there's going to be this, and this, I'd say you're out of your mind. That'll never happen. But sure enough, you know, there's a lot of changes happening. I think all makes leasing companies, from my recollection and remembering back, where, you know, there wasn't a BMW Financial Services to support Rolls-Royce. There wasn't a Volkswagen or Audi Financial Services to support that brand. For, you know, for Rolls-Royce to have, you know, decent residuals, strong interest rates, and talking about single payment leases, multiple security deposit leases, giving everybody the opportunity, because, you know, when you're with, say, a brand like Mercedes-Benz, you know, it's a pretty straightforward. This is how many kilometers I need. This is the term that I want. I don't want to put any money down. What have you got in stock? Where it's here, like, there's more time invested, right? And if somebody's saying, you know, that might be out of my budget, but I see that you've got a 2023, that's a lot less in value, but it's got very little kilometers. Because the Rolls-Royce may be somebody's primary driver, but it also could be a secondary or third motor car within the fleet of the family, right? So it's very interesting. I've met some very interesting people over the years.
Serving basically the rest of the east of Canada, have you had any extreme measures that you had to take to deliver a vehicle or a motor car, or?
Not so much delivering a vehicle. I have a client. He's unfortunately passed away now. He was very good to me. He started a franchise, you know, back in, I'm going to say, 70s, early 80s, and it brought him to a place where, you know, he could have his own golf course, and he'd fly us out and entertain us. You know, it was a lot of fun, because we'd golf, we'd have some seafood, and then fly back to his hangar. And you know, there's other clients that are very, that's probably the most extreme.
But I see discretion is definitely key in this industry. It's definitely sounding to high, ultra high net worth.
Yeah.
So let's forget about Rolls-Royce, Todd.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself. What's your story?
What's my story? I mean, growing up in Burlington, Ontario, my father was in the automotive industry. My parents are originally from Miramichi, New Brunswick, and I think they came to Ontario in '64, got married in '67, and along came me in '72. So.
What were your passions growing up? Did you always want to be in the automotive industry? Did you have a lot of cars? Did you?
Yes, I always wanted to be in the automotive industry. You know, growing up, I had a passion for music. You know, I loved going to concerts and being with friends. I mean, you know, I was a big Grateful Dead fan. I'm a much bigger Eagles fan, and you know, going and seeing some of my favorite musicians play at various locations, both in Canada and the States, was a lot of fun. I had a passion for skiing, playing squash, and travel. Travel was a big part of it as well.
Do you find that the sale is won by the product or by the salesperson?
I think when I referred to the early 2000s, I think a lot of the vehicles that were coming new to the market, a lot of them were selling themselves. You know, like I mentioned before with Mercedes-Benz, both at franchise and corporate level, there was a strong demand, you know, especially for the M class, which is now, you know, the GLE. And it was, you know, a big opportunity for, you know, both dealers to be awarded the Star Dealer of the Year and so forth. You know, nowadays, Rolls-Royce is a whole different animal, right? Rolls-Royce, when you're coming in, again, I'm always referring to the bespoke. When I'm looking around, I'm looking at all the available colors and you know, whether it's a bird's eye maple or a walnut or, you know, a flat carbon fiber finish. You know, I could spend hours with a guest here and come up with, an opportunity that say, here's option 1, 2, and 3, right? At that point, when we're that, that far into the detailing of the motor car, I think, it's not so much a matter of price. It's just, when can I get this car?
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it can be, a 4 to 6 month wait.
Okay.
When it's more detailed, it could be, somewhere to the 6 to the 8 month mark.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all of our vehicles, all 4 models are built in Goodwood, in England. Some of the best specs that I've seen out there, we've got one in the showroom, where it's an emerald green finish and satin. All the perforations in the hide representing the clouds over the Goodwood factory. The piping, the embroidered headrest, the illuminated door sills, it's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Love to take a trip there, but so you said so roughly 6 to 8 months ish on average for a delivery.
On average, no, I'd say about 4 to 5 months.
Oh, 4 to 5. Okay,
Yeah,
5.
yeah.
But here you already have a set, like a fleet of.
Yeah, we usually
go.
carry 8 to 10 in inventory.
Okay.
Right now, I think we have one of one in Canada of the Spectre, brand new, readily available, spec'd out beautifully. That's one of the 3 vehicles that we took out to Halifax to do a show and tell. It's a fully electric 4-wheel drive, rear axle steering. There's so much involved in that vehicle. There isn't enough time on this podcast to go through all the details. If I look at a Cullinan, silver badge, black badge, rose gold, all of these different variations of skirtings, aprons, wheels, along the shoulder lines, if I go single or double coach line, it changes the look of the motor car. But when I break it down online with a client in front of them and we're building something in this atelier, sky's the limit.
What's your favorite feature of a Rolls-Royce?
My favorite feature of the Rolls-Royce?
Feature or spec or would it be this?
Well, it could be. I think with the Starlight, with the shooting stars that are never in the same place twice. Last week, my wife and I were going out for dinner, and I think she was more amazed by the Starlight rooftop than by the actual car itself.
Definitely.
Yeah. So if you've got a client that comes in, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
If you've got a client that comes in and comes to see you about a mortgage or a bridge finance or whatever it might be, if somebody said to you, do you see a common ground or a common denominator amongst your clients?
What I noticed that clients, let's say on $1 million mortgage or $1 million property, what I've noticed with those type of clients, they're not necessarily rate focused. They're more service focused. So
Absolutely.
They want the best service. They don't really care about the 0.1, 0.2 difference between one lender or another. It's mainly the service being taken care of A to Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People are looking for good customer service. Somebody that has a good reputation, and somebody that's going to follow through and don't overpromise and underdeliver. Right? For me, it was, people appreciate, I think, having knowledge of a vehicle, right? But when I see their eyes open, when I bring them into this room, they have expectations of they're going to have a wow factor, right? But then when bringing them to that place where it's like you haven't seen anything yet, that's what makes me very happy.
I could tell that. I see that you take pride in that because let's say, for example, certain luxury stores, they have an attitude where they make you feel like you don't belong here type of thing, where you want to buy more just because of that, you know what I mean? But here I feel like
well, back in my generation, I think it was Pretty Woman where Julia Roberts walks in and says, "You're on commission." Big mistake. Big, right? I'll never underestimate or discredit anybody. I had a young boy come in and he was staring through the window, and I said, "Come in," and the big, doors open, and I said, "No, you can come in." I remember somebody doing that for me at Downtown Fine Cars, a Porsche store in Toronto when I was, I'm going to say 10 years old. And there was another place in Oakville called Autoland, and I would just stare at the Lamborghinis in the glass. These guys let me come in. They'd either let me sit in the car or I'd ask for their business card. I mean, it was a commercial in the making, if you will. I wanted to you know, I wanted to bring that back and allow this young boy to come in, where you never know in the
Yeah.
future, right? And I've had those experiences, and for me to bring that and to give it to somebody else is great.
In my past life, when I was in the banking industry, when I
Yeah.
was working in automotive financing, we had a day where we got to go with the sales manager to different dealerships, and then
Yeah.
this happened to be one of them.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
was 24 years
Yeah.
old, and I was just sneaking videos of the cars without people trying to see me. So
Right.
just seeing a Rolls Royce in person at that age opened my eyes to like a different
Yeah.
possibility. And I mean, here we are now. Now we're
Yeah.
invited. Maybe
Yeah.
the next time we'll be buying one, but we'll
Yeah.
see. But it's definitely, I mean, it's an eye opener. Like, and
Yeah.
definitely when you lead with the service, the rest will follow. Definitely.
When I say Rolls Royce, what comes to mind for you?
The pinnacle of luxury. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the top of the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
It basically sells itself, type of thing, is what you would think.
Which answers the question you had asked before, and I figured that's
Yeah.
what that was going to be your answer. And it's more along the lines of the vehicle sells itself, but how much further can you take it,
Yeah.
knowing that that guest is going to be a part of your life, inside and outside the dealership,
Yeah.
for the remainder of our relationship.
Definitely.
Right.
And how do you deliver on that promise? Or of that service expectation?
History repeats itself,
Yeah.
right?
The show's called The Closing Time because it doesn't mean closing down the business. It
Yeah.
means closing deals, closing
Yeah.
locations,
Right.
transactions,
Yeah.
however you want it. But what was a moment where you felt like everything is closing down, let's say?
I'm going to say 2005. You mean personally or professionally?
However you want.
I think in 2005, 2006, there were some challenging times in my personal life, and you know, it took me to a place where I feel I had hit rock bottom. But I had to make some changes, and you know, and ask for help. You know, and when pride and ego gets in the way, I think for me, you know, it's a dangerous place. You know, I was very proud of the job I had. I was very proud of the product I supported, but I was a young guy. You know, I bought my first house, I think it was 1995, for 186.9. You know, that house is worth, I don't know, I'm going to say 1.2, 1.3 now. And you know, I had sold it, you know, a long time ago, but things changed over the years, you know, and as did I, you know, and you know, I'm 54 years old now, and I've learned what humility is, right? Through, you know, what I call a gift of desperation, right? So, you know, for me to ask somebody for help, and understanding that the past has no future, I needed to make sure that I surrounded myself with like-minded people.
Thanks for sharing that, because when I ask that question, it's not just, you know, we're not glorifying anything
No.
or to judge. It's basically just to show that even if you hit rock bottom, look where you could end up. You could end up from rock bottom to the upper echelon of fine motor cars. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's definitely about it's a mindset thing of you can't think of any failure as it's. I mean, in the moment you think the world's closing down on you, but you gotta ask for help, like you said. Find a way to dig yourself out of that.
Yeah, yeah.
And the sky's the limit.
Absolutely, yeah. And the one thing I did learn is I can't dig out of it by myself.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, there was somebody I knew for a long, long time. He wrote a book called Successful Failures, and this isn't a plug for that. It's just I like the title of it because it took a long time for me to learn from my mistakes and knowing the difference between right and wrong. Right. It's been a big learning curve for me, as I've shared with you, especially at Cars and Coffee, where you and I got to know each other on a more personal level. And I've been in Quebec for 3 years now, and I love this province. I love the people, the food, the culture of this province. It's got a real zest for life, and you know, as I say, incroyable. And I'm quite proud to be a part of this province and support the product, not only with Rolls-Royce and Holland Automotive Group, but to be recognized either through my social media as a friendly personality, because the person that you see online is exactly the person that you're going to meet in person.
Definitely.
Right.
And on the flip side, what's your most proudest? I don't you don't like calling it a deal that you closed, but most.
Well, my most proud thing in the world is my wife, but as far as the most proud automotive transaction, I'm going to say back in 2003, there was a car that I had seen at Cobo Hall, Detroit, and back then it was an SLR Vision 1. And I remember saying to my father, you know, that vehicle will never come to market. And sure enough, not long thereafter, I found out that there was, and one of my VIP clients put a request in. At that time, there was a waiting period of about 3 years for this car. And there was also a qualifying period. So my client wanted one, and he gave me €50,000 every month for the first 12 months to qualify, even though he was financially in a position to buy 10 of them. But because they were so limited, that when he decided to purchase and put his name in the basket, if you will, 3 years later, I delivered one of the first SLR Vision 1s in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how does that compare to your first Rolls-Royce?
Well, I delivered my first Rolls-Royce yesterday, actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah. Thank you so much. And the client was extremely happy. He was happy with not only the experience he had with me and the dealership. He is a repeat customer. He had a Wraith before, but he really was enticed by the Cullinan, you know, for the size and whatnot. And he spends a little bit of time here in Canada, but mainly he's down south. And he really suits the vehicle. It suits his personality, if you will. Yeah.
How did it make you feel? That first delivery?
I felt, I told him, I said, you are my first Rolls-Royce client, you know, and I'm very proud of this. I hate to use the word transaction. I'm very proud of the relationship that I've built and earned your trust. And, you know, for me, it's a pretty big deal. I know selling my very first car, my very first SLR Vision 1, you know, and now, you know, selling a Rolls-Royce. I can call some of my friends that have Rolls-Royce and Bentley in Toronto to say, you know, I did it. I'm quite proud of this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And when you're finalizing a deal,
Yep.
are you nervous? Like, oh, is it gonna go through? Is it gonna?
Oh, not really. I mean, that's par for the game, right? I mean, there's so many lending institutions out there that offer so many different availabilities in finance. You know, a lot of these, in the short time that I've been with this brand, I'm noticing people are in the position to put more money down, right? Sometimes it's 10, 15, up to 25% down. And maybe that's what the lending institutions are asking for. To answer your question, you know, do I get a feeling of, oh, is this one going to stick? No, I don't ever think about that. And if it doesn't, I'm on to the next one, right? But delivering that news to somebody who may not be in a position, whether it's derogatory credit, whether they're overextended, you know, planning for the next vehicle or the next possibility of them getting into Rolls-Royce might mean getting them into something a little less expensive and previously enjoyed. You know, I'm about to sell another Cullinan today where it's a bridge vehicle, you know, so a 2023 Cullinan, they'll lease for 12 months in-house here at the store while they wait for the vehicle that they're also going to build that will arrive in 12 to 14 months.
So have you talked somebody out of buying a Rolls-Royce?
Have I
Talked someone out of it, saying, maybe you shouldn't do this?
I'm sorry, that's not something I'd ever do. Yeah. Talking them out of you know, selling them a mortgage or a Rolls-Royce is, you know, not in my vocabulary.
You showed me around this place, beautiful establishment, beautiful cars left and right.
Thank you.
I've been downstairs. I've seen the stock that you have. So what are we sitting on here? 10, 20 million or?
I'm going to say north of $50 million.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what kind of, I mean, I've seen G-Wagons, I've seen Ghosts, Cullinans. What's the most expensive motor car on site right now?
Oh, we have a few. I mean, I've got a 67 Camaro that's way
Oh
up
yeah.
in price as
You
well.
showed me that one. It was a one of
Yeah,
one, all
yeah,
well, I don't know if it's
yeah.
one of one, but it's
It's
all
not one of one, but it's very original.
yeah.
It's 32 point VIN straight.
Hmm.
We've got some very desirable Ferraris. Because we own Ferrari Quebec, we've
Hmm.
got a number of super lux dealerships
Yeah.
here in Canada and in another continent. So
And is there a special way to store these vehicles or keep them?
I mean, some of our VIPs will we're utilized as a storage vault, if you will,
Hmm.
because they have a large fleet of vehicles.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we're looking at Ferrari, Rolls-Royce, McLaren, some of our clients have a great selection of Bugattis.
Hmm.
Especially, we've got a Pure Sport that comes in here for servicing,
Yeah.
and that's another important point with our facility, that we do a service all makes and models.
Hmm.
We're really known for that.
Definitely. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw detailing,
yeah,
servicing.
yeah, yeah,
It's a whole operation
yeah,
that.
yeah. We have tinting, full body PPFs,
Mhm.
color changes. We have some trusted third party body shops that
Mhm.
will recondition or you know do what they have to do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you and I were doing pretty well in life, but we're definitely not buying a Rolls Royce. So who the heck is buying a Rolls Royce these days?
You know what? There's a big change in the market right now with our Cullinan. I think it's opened up a whole new segment
Hmm.
to buyers that want an SUV, especially in the province of Quebec with the weather that we get.
Hmm.
Again, I mentioned before, Rolls Royce can be like a secondary vehicle,
Yeah.
right? But for
A
the
weekend car.
a weekend car, if you will. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, whether you're spending the weekends in the wintertime up in Mont Tremblant
Hmm.
or Saint Donat even in the South Shore,
Hmm.
a lot of our clients from, I'd say, Hudson, Quebec, all the way to the Eastern Townships.
Yeah.
We have a good variety of clients that are in this snack bracket to either get a Phantom, a Ghost, a
Yeah.
Cullinan, or even the Spectre,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorites, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
What was it? The Spectre?
Spectre. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that goes north of a million.
We
Or
have one in stock right now for, I'm going to put it at about 765 the way it's specced out.
okay.
I love its color. It was one of the three that we brought out to
Hmm.
Halifax. And I'll tell you a story. It was actually pretty funny. As I mentioned before, my mom and dad are from the East Coast,
Hmm.
and I was down in a place outside of Halifax called Lower Sackville, and I'm going to meet some lovely people that are a husband and wife that are interested in Spectre. And I was at a stoplight. Lower Sackville is a smaller area than Halifax. And I look to my right, and there's an older gentleman in a pickup truck. And
Hmm.
I put my window down, and he says, "By Jesus, by! I never seen a car like that in me town before." And he said, "Would you open it up?" And I said, "Well, I can, but you won't hear it.
Yeah.
It's something else."
Hmm.
I'm coming back from Lower Sackville to Kearney Lake. I'm heading over to Bedford, and there was a lot of people with their cell phones out because they had never seen a motor car to that nature. It's one thing to see a Mercedes, a BMW, an Aston Martin, but when you see a Rolls Royce coming up in your rearview mirror, it really stands
Oh,
still.
you feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it. Yeah,
And I've never driven in or driven one, but I know
yeah.
that it's
We'll have to
no
change that.
definitely.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Maybe take
Like
yours first,
today.
but
Yeah.
and I know that it's known for being basically like a boat. It's like you're
You
super
feel
smooth.
you feel the weight of it. I mean, some of our cars, like I said, are electric, but we don't have any plug-in hybrid or hybrid.
Hmm.
It's mainly, a lot of them are 6 3/4 W10s. They've got
Hmm.
a lot of power, but they need that kind of power to
Hmm.
pull the weight, and you feel it. The materials that are put inside the vehicle, from the vents to the electronics and technology behind this
Hmm.
motor car is next level. Like things that were ahead of their time back in the early 2000s with another brand, things like night vision
Hmm.
and solar radar and so forth. This is all standard things, but you're paying for it, but
Hmm.
you're getting what you pay for. Right, the quality of the materials, the
Hmm.
qualities. I mentioned about colors, veneers, and hides, and piping, and the individuality of what you can put into a car.
Hmm.
Sky's the limit. There's a very popular, well-known vehicle now out of New York, I believe, called the Bailey Spectre. We have not we, but Rolls-Royce North America has a client where they went above and beyond, individualizing the back of their vehicle, and with the colors, to pay tribute to their dog Bailey, and they use the Spectre to do that. And the level of artistry to put the eucalyptus wood into place to shape the dog's face, and it's quite something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And with all these features, is there one to withstand the potholes in Montreal and Quebec?
Cullinan, 100%.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's the solution,
yeah.
man. That's what
and
it is.
I speak from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met one very intimately in the Cullinan I'm driving, and there's one by Côte de l'Est that I will never forget, and they will never forget me.
Yeah, because I mean, especially on the ride to here,
Yeah.
the potholes are disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, let's say like a Lambo, the lower riding vehicles, they're pretty rough. I feel like, how could somebody even justify a luxury vehicle when it's not even safe on the streets? You know what I mean?
Well, they're safe on the streets, but I mean, at the same time, I think a lot of people they don't think about those things when they're buying a fine motor car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I guess a chipped windshield or a flat tire is the least of your concerns if you're playing.
That's why rim and tire protection and provenance extended warranties are always an option.
But how do you find having it on a Rolls-Royce day to day? Would you prefer that over?
I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to drive a Phantom long term. I'm taking a Ghost out to a car show, at the end of the month, and I'm going to probably put on, I'm going to say 200-300 kilometers in the vehicle. It's about an hour and a half drive from here, and I'm going to meet like-minded car enthusiasts that really appreciate the British side of automotive making. So
definitely.
Yeah.
One thing, I'm just gonna say it there.
Yeah,
you don't have to leave it. But in Quebec, it's very taboo talking about. We were talking even at Cars and Coffee how in Toronto it's more, hey, look what I have, look what I have. This is our, how much millions, and it's not, or even the States. It's not a bad thing. You're showing success, and people are inspired by it. But in Quebec, it's very taboo, very hush hush. People don't want.
It isn't. I mean, I've met some clients that are very private. They're very under the radar, and I can respect that. I respect people's anonymity, and what they do for a living is really their business. I have met clients that they really want to be seen, and they want to be noticed, and they want to be standing ovation and look at me. Where some of the clients here are not like that. What I find the difference between in my short time in Quebec versus Ontario, people here have a flavor for life. They have a flavor for color. I'm noticing now a lot of the dealerships, be it Rolls-Royce, Benz, Audi, BMW, Lexus, whatever it might be, they have an inventory of what sells, right? Rolls-Royce is a different level, right? When I look at some of the colors that we have, just the minimum entry-level colors that are available, and then going to the next level for specialty, hues and hides. It's unbelievable. They always say people in Ontario, when they're choosing a vehicle, are colorblind because it's either black, white, or silver. When you get into the colors that we have, both in contrast stitching, two-tone paints and piping and shoulder lines and coach lines, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
And what do you think about is the electric vehicle market killing luxury
I never
vehicles?
thought that Canada had the infrastructure for electric until I came to Quebec. Again, I think the availability of electric power here in Quebec, we have, the resources that some provinces don't. But when I moved here, I had never seen so many electric vehicles in my life. I think, with some of the major manufacturers and the domestic and import that are slowing down production and giving opportunity, I think I saw a slogan, hate the electric, love the car, and I thought, well, that's pretty clever. There's a lot of, it's a 50-50, right? For a lot of people that saying, I want to go full electric. I want is it for moral reasons, or is it just you think it's mind over matter, or am I getting a real savings? I think, with the kind of horsepower, the torque, and the amount of electric vehicles that are being sold, I stand to be corrected. There's a lot of vehicles being sold.
So do you think it takes away from the luxury aspect? Do you think a Rolls-Royce?
Oh no, they have not taken anything out of the luxury segment when it comes to a Rolls-Royce Spectre. When I parked it at the Muir Hotel in Halifax a couple of weeks ago, people stood still, not just because of the beautiful Spirit of Ecstasy on the hood, but the look, the shape, the materials that are used. I'm still in awe. Like I said, I drove that vehicle for a couple hours outside the city, and I stopped off to see a really good friend of mine that manages a Mercedes store out there. And these are car guys just like me, but even them, they were like, wow, like that's a car.
Yeah.
Like it really spoke volume to them.
So they did it right, I guess.
They did it right. Yeah. Home run.
Because we saw the Ferrari electric one, which was kind of a flop, I think. But
I have no comment.
No comment. Don't come for us, Ferrari. Okay. Todd, after 30 years in sales.
35.
35. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. That's so older than me. Okay. 35 years in sales.
Yeah.
What's something that you've learned about success throughout the years?
I think for me, success is it comes in so many ways. When I'll give you an example, a client that I sold a vehicle to 12 years ago, who's in his 70s, he was going through some very challenging personal times, and I encouraged him to attend a certain function that I was hosting, and not long after, he reached out to me, and a very heartfelt message saying thank you for encouraging me to step outside my comfort zone. And he was able to have a wonderful day with one of his family members, and for me at 54 to get a feedback like that from one of my clients who was very he's a wonderful man. He's just, I think about it now and it really gets me. To me, that's success, right? You can put all the money aside, all the wins, all the losses, but knowing that 10, 12, 15 years later, I can still have a relationship with a client that just started with a firm handshake and hi, can I assist you today?
Wow. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Good way to close off. Well, Todd, thank you so much for having us. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for having me.
When I started this podcast, like you've been asking me, what's your point? What's the agenda? I initially started it just to put myself out there,
right?
And then from there, it opened up so many doors to meet individuals who I've never would have thought of in my life. Business owners, my boy Nero. We're good friends now. We connected on a personal level. So being in rooms like this is something I never would have thought when I started this podcast. So I'm very honored to be here with you. And I hope we'll continue exchanging.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that our friendship will grow. Like I said, I think I'm beyond excited to be part of this team. What originally brought me to the province of Quebec is my wife is from here. I married into a wonderful family, a loving family that's embraced me for the person that I am. They know all the peaks and valleys of my past, and there's no judgment. It's just you're part of us now, and I have my best friend, my wife Valerie, is somebody that puts a real spark in my eye and makes me the person I am today.
Definitely. Well, shout out Valerie.
Shout out Valerie. Yeah, exactly.
Shout out. Well, Todd, thanks again for sharing your story. Hope
Absolutely.
to reaches your target audience.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. And don't forget, you said today we're changing the fact that I haven't driven a Rolls-Royce yet.
100%.
So I'm waiting on the...
It's in the drive-thru ready for you.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. So once again, that's the closing time, episode 11. See you next time.
All right. Thank you. Todd. All right. Thanks a lot.